Would you please welcome to the stage, Alan Doyle.
It's nice to have you back, Tomboy.
It's nice to be back, you know. It's nice to be back. I'm sad I'm not in my home community, the bustling outport of Count Heights, Newfoundland. But it is nice to be here. How are you doing? Nice to have you back, too. You were just gone to Toronto for how long?
I was away for almost 2 full months in a row, which is very unusual for me. I'm usually gone for 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Always going somewhere, always coming back. But this was an unusual stay. I was in Toronto for almost 2 full months.
Can you tell the people what you were doing?
I was doing a version, Telltale Harbour, the musical that we played here. Yeah.
So, Telltale Harbour sold out to the gills, my understanding, in Toronto. Is that right?
Yeah, we started it there in like the last few days of September, and we were. If you look at the, this is true. If you look at the percentage for seats, we were 103%. I'm serious. They put standing room in the back of the Royal Alexandra Theatre for the first time in over a decade, and was sold out to the doors every night.
For people who aren't as familiar with the story of Telltale Harbour, the people here might recognize that story.
Yeah, well, most people know it as a musical adaptation of the film that became The Grand Seduction, that was filmed in Trinity and stars Mark Critch and a few other people. And it's really about a small town that loses its fish plant and is in the running to get a replacement plant to save the town. But one big thing it needs to get in order to secure that opportunity is it needs to have a full-time resident doctor. So one of the foolish leaders of the town, played by yours truly, tries to convince the whole town that they can indeed convince this visiting doctor from London that small town Telltale Harbour is the place he should spend the rest of his life. And hijinks and lovely songs ensue.
I'm curious as to why it landed the way it did in Toronto and on the mainland. So for people who don't know, the show debuted in Charlottetown. I want to say maybe.
Well, the show debuted we sort of wrote it over the pandemic. Myself and Ed Rich and Adam and Bob from Adam from Charlottetown and Bob from Toronto, and we did it mostly during the pandemic. It debuted in 22. At the Charlottetown Festival, and then of course we did a tour of it here in Newfoundland and Labrador. We did all the arts and culture centers, yeah, and we did like a 5 or 6 day sold out run right here at this theater in September or October of 2022, and then we reworked a bunch of the things for it and we debuted it back again. We remounted it for Charlottetown this summer in 2025, and it rolled into the Royal Alex with the big mighty Mirvish which is like the NHL for theater in Canada. I've come to learn, I don't know.
But you did better than the Leafs, which is good.
We did.
That's good. Just 2 Habs fans, we're okay. What I'm curious about is that seems like such a local story, at least an Atlantic Canadian story. A fish plant going down, the challenges of getting a family doctor in a community. Did you find that there was any difference in how people in Atlantic Canada, how people in Newfoundland received the show, and how people in Toronto received the show?
Well, in Atlantic Canada, people are so familiar with that story. And I don't mean the movie itself, but we're all so familiar with, I grew up in Petty Harbour, right? Like we're in 1990, yeah, thank you very much.
Love that, by the way.
I expected it and hoped for that.
I heard someone from Maddox Cove start booing, by the way.
That's right. Yeah. No, but I was born in 1969, and of course, so I just became an adult, and Great Big Sea just started when the cod moratorium hit Petty Harbour. It looks like it hit everywhere else in Newfoundland and Labrador, and all these towns, like Petty Harbour, had to sort of redefine what we were doing, and so even as a very young adult, I was faced with that reality, and our town was. And I think that sort of coastal survivalist mentality is very common out here. We're used to it. So that resulted in one kind of show. But of course in Toronto and perhaps West or wherever, they're not as used to that story, so it was a little bit more sort of fantastical for them, and a little bit, which I think probably made for a funnier night. And I'm serious, I'm sure, it's the story of my life, especially with the Great Big Sea lads, playing sea shanties in Telluride, Colorado, and wondering how in God's name this is going to go over, yet it does. Mm-hmm. And so here we are, on the same stage that had Hamilton on it, and Phantom of the Opera, I'm there winking and and singing a song basically about Petty Harbour. It's called Telltale Harbour in the show, but it's basically about Petty Harbour. And no better spot for it, if you don't mind me saying.
How did you find writing the music? When I went to see the show, I was struck by, like, it was very natural that you wrote these very big musical theater songs. That is normally a discipline that belongs to one sort of musician, and the kind of person who can write big pub songs that everyone can sing along with is another kind of musician. How did you find sort of stepping between those two worlds?
Very challenging.
Yeah?
It was probably the hardest I've ever had to work on something, and I did it so happily. But I must say, as new as I was to it, the other musician in the creative team was a guy named Bob Foster, who you know, and he's the chief musical theater person in the country of Canada. So under his guidance and friendship, we got it done, and people loved it. It was a great night out, and we look forward to doing it again.
You're about to go out on tour, a big, long run, not long from now, right?
Still in the game. Can't believe it. Yeah, we...
unlike the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah. I'm sorry. Ron McLean's going to kill me.
Well, having spent my time in Toronto, if I could tell you, I figured out really quickly two ways to upset everyone in Toronto, right? The first one is an obvious one. Walk up to someone in Toronto and tell them that their hockey team's pretty good.
Yeah.
They are beside, and then the big one, of course, is tell them that all your experiences in the last 5 or 6 weeks in Toronto on public transit have been awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys, the subway works. I don't know what to tell you. I got everywhere I wanted to go. It just works. I'm sorry.
You're going back out. You still love the road. How long have you been out on the road now, in your life?
I don't know. Someone asked me, like a kid asked me at a gig, I said, how many concerts have you done in your lifetime? And I said, buddy, I don't know. Like,
it's 20 years of Great Big Sea, 10 years of Alan solo.
Yeah.
And then before that?
Yeah, before that was when we were doing all the gigs, because we played 5 or 6, different places downtown. And I don't know, I mean.
What keeps you going?
Well, I still love it, right? I still love getting on stage, and I still love playing music, and I still love traveling, and that I was that way when I was 14 in Petty Harbour, and I've seen no reason to stop. I still love doing it, and I still get to play with a great gang, and the audiences are still showing up. I mean, we announced the new tour, and we're starting right here in St. John's, by the way, and I'm looking forward to that. The Already Dancing tour starts, and the response was so big that we added a second night in St. John's. We're doing 2 nights at Massey Hall in Toronto and onwards. And so, yeah, I feel really lucky, and I'm not kidding. I feel really lucky to still be in the game at all. Like, that's enough for me, but to still have a little bit of, it feels like it's still growing,
Yeah.
and that's incredible, because here I am in my mid-30s, and it's
You look great, by the way. You look great.
Thank you.
You look great. The last thing, you also have a book out this month. You just released a book called The Smiling Land about your journeys around Newfoundland and Labrador. And in it, you talk about how even though you're on the road all the time, how even though it may be a lot more convenient, I saw this line in the book, it may have been a lot more convenient for your touring life to move away. You have never kept a home anywhere but here in Newfoundland and Labrador. How come?
Well, why would you? The funniest thing about that whole thing to me is that, all the good fortune in my life, like traveling, and got to travel and play music, and, under a couple of awesome umbrellas, 3 or 4 really, and then doing a bit of film and television stuff and, theater or whatever. And I've gotten to go to some of the greatest cities in the world, and not one time has it ever occurred to me to move to one of them and not live in St. John's. Like, it's never even crossed my mind. Like, how weird that it would be. And one of the things, the whole Smiling Land book that I just released is kind of an attempt to answer that question. It's like, what is it about a place that makes you love it so much, And, I mean, mom's bread is good.
Yeah, and Athens does not have the Village Mall. But
That is
still,
right.
Alan,
Food court, the Athens
does not have
The food
the hot
court.
shop at the food court at the
No,
Village
no,
Mall.
no,
I'm just
good.
going to point that out. And I think I can speak for everybody here that everyone's so glad you never left, but also an unbelievable amount of pride in both in you and the ambassadorship you've done for this province. And thank you so much for coming out today.
Thanks,
Alan Doyle, everybody.